Hello guys and welcome back to Car Obsession. As you can see, once again I'm joined by Leo, my Mk2 SEAT Leon Cupra, and in today's video I'm going to be replacing the cam follower. Anyway, to the back cave! No, sorry, I mean workshop, yeah, workshop. Before I kick off, I want to point out this is not a how-to guide or a tutorial, and I'm not a trained mechanic. If you are looking for such a video, I'd recommend ECS Tuning or Deutsche Parts. I do, however, have access to a workshop, which is handy, but to be honest, this is quite a straightforward job, and I'm sure you could do this at home without any real problems. First thing to do was to remove the engine cover. There's quite a few aspects of doing this, and it can be a bit of a faff if it's your first time doing it. I first disconnected the clips holding the turbo intake hose in place, which is easy and can be done with a flathead screwdriver. I then disconnected the MAF sensor, that's mass airflow sensor, before sliding down the hose clamp on the air intake duct. I used a pair of vice grips to do this, but I'd recommend a pair of water pump pliers as it makes this a bit easier. I then unclipped the two clips on the left hand side, which can be simply done by hand. Next, I removed the two T25 bolts to help free the air intake duct. Just be careful when you do this though, as you don't want to lose the bolts in the engine bay. That'd be quite disastrous. Once everything is disconnected and out of the way, you'll need to give the engine cover a good old tug for it to come off, but just be careful where you're pulling it from, as it is made of plastic and could snap. Make sure all of the rubber grommets come off with the engine cover, otherwise the engine cover won't go back on properly. I can speak from experience. I now had access to the high pressure fuel pump, and the first thing to do was to remove the two sensors, one placed on top and the other to the left. I then removed the plastic cap that goes over the Schrader valve, and once I had access to the valve, it was time to release the residual pressure in the pump, but if you're doing this at home, make sure you have some old rags or tissues handy. I used a flathead screwdriver to press on the valve, but you could use a pick instead. Using a 13mm spanner, I removed the valve before removing the metal fuel line. Thankfully, I have the newer style setup for this engine, meaning I don't have to remove the other hard line that has that fiddly banjo bolt. With those items removed, it was time for me to remove the high pressure fuel pump itself from the engine. If you're doing this job yourself, remember the pump is spring loaded, so undo the 3 T30 bolts evenly as much as you can. After the 3 bolts were removed, I carefully removed the high pressure fuel pump in order to get access to the cam follower. Removing that is as simple as fishing your fingers in to dig it out. If you're replacing the cam follower, you're going to want to replace the seal on the high pressure fuel pump as well. A pick is an effective tool for removing it. I applied oil to both the new cam follower and the new seal to ensure that both items didn't go into the car dry. With the cam follower removed, I was able to inspect the wear, and to be honest, it wasn't too bad. Some recommend replacing the cam follower every 10,000 miles, particularly if the car has been remapped, whereas others say to do it every 30 to 40,000 miles, but given that this is a cheap, pretty quick and relatively simple job, I'd recommend doing this every 10,000 miles in all honesty. Also, whilst you're here, it's not a bad idea to check the camshaft lobe just to see if there's any obvious damage or wear. With the new cam follower in and seal replaced, it was time to refit the fuel pump, making sure to tighten the 3 bolts evenly. I then reattached the fuel line, Schrader valve and the plastic cap before reconnecting the sensor plugs. Next up, it was time to turn the key and pray the engine would start without any issues. Ah, that's not good. Wait for it. Wait for it. Ah, there we go. That's simply left to reattaching the engine cover, which is the reverse of taking it off. Job's a good 'un. So there we have it guys, I'm now back at home in the car, and I thought I'd do the conclusion here because, well, I've got climate control and outside it is around 33 degrees, so very hot and to be honest, rather uncomfortable, whereas in here, this is heaven. In fact, I may just stay here for the rest of the day. But yeah, overall, this wasn't a particularly difficult job to do. So if you are quite competent with tools and car mechanics, I definitely think this is a job you can do yourself. Now, as I said at the start, this was never intended to be a how-to video or a tutorial. However, if you have learnt something, then that's great. So you never know, you may have learned something new from this video, but I do hope above all you enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.
Ryan Little.